Well, hello. That's my new sexy intro voice. I've been practicing all morning. I don't know how effective it's going to be, but it's all I got, Hey, October 3rd, first show of October 2024, so that's kind of cool. I've got a few interesting things to talk about. Let me see here. The one thing, lots happened. Like every episode I start off with a little bit of what happened in history on this day, because I get these notifications, and I was like, yeah, okay, OJ got acquitted. What a scam that was! A bunch of things. I'm like, yeah, who cares? I was actually wanting to know. Even when I was a kid, I remember that unfolding, and he was driving away in the white Bronco. I'm like, really? He's this rich, kind of famous celebrity guy, and he's only got a Bronco? Like, are you kidding me? And he lives in Hollywood? Like, come on.
Well, you don't want to murder people in your best car, do you?
Well, I don't know if he had another car. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't his car. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well, if he's capable of murdering people, he's capable of anything, right? So.
Yeah, he got away with murder. Now, for all you non-Canadians out there, you can just tune out for a second, or non-hockey lovers. But I'll tell you, on this day, and I think 1997, Gordie Howe skated his last shift in a professional hockey league. He was, I think, 69 years old. Wow. It was, he was only on the ice for 30 or 40 seconds because he wanted to be the first player to compete in 6 decades. He started his NHL career in 1946, but his last NHL game in 1980, I think, for the Hartford Whalers. The guy was known as Mr. Hockey. Like, if you're Canadian, you knew who Gordie Howe was. Played, a lot of his career in Detroit, and he finished up in Detroit. I think with the American Hockey League. I think it was the Vipers, but that was pretty interesting. I kind of forgot about old Gordie. Yeah, and when I used to work up in the Arctic, I there's this older guy who flew a spotter plane to spot forest fires and then to guide in the bombers and behind him. And I used to fly with him sometimes, or just hanging out at the base with him. And he used to tell me stories of Tim Horton. Gordie Howe. They would fly in these bush planes up in northern Ontario to these remote lakes that maybe somebody didn't even have names back then, and sometimes they get stuck there for a few days of the weather and just sit around playing cards and telling stories. It's just incredible stuff. Anyways, enough about that. A little bit of Canadian nostalgia for everyone who's interested in that. All right, let's take a look. First of all, let me go here to slides. What do we? Let's just see what we're talking about here today. Where are we? There we are. Uptober. Yes, of course, Uptober. And actually, we've got some interesting things to talk about next week. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but you don't want to miss that one. I think it'll be very, very interesting for a lot of people. Let me share my screen. We'll get right to it. Is this it? Is this it? Yeah. Okay. Let's take a quick look first of where we're at. I mean, we're sitting around 60 and a half.
Not looking like October to me.
Not yet, but hey, the last half of September was, maybe they jumped the shark a little bit. Maybe they just kind of.
Well, didn't I? I think I'm on record at the beginning of September on this program for saying I think we'll flatline or go down for the beginning of September and then rally as people try to front run October.
Yeah, and
it turns out, for once in my life, I was completely right.
Yeah, should have bet the farm on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the funny thing is I'm all day trading this and trading that. And I made a boatload of money today in currency. Everything went my way. It was nice. Fantastic. Yeah, very, very happy. I put those calls in our Discord channel. Of course, you can follow if you want to. Check us out at roguetrader.academy. But what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah. So I'm doing this and doing that, and I come back to Bitcoin. And I'm like, oh yeah. It's still sitting here. What are we going to tell these people on Deribit Live? Like, there's nothing much happening, right? But I shouldn't really say that. We did have a really nice run up from the high 50s into the mid 60s at the end of September to early October. So there's nothing wrong with that. That was pretty good. And let's face it, war broke out in the Middle East. This thing came down with it. But, if we take our little measuring thing, we go from. So war broke out around here. So the farthest we've dropped is about 6% since then. And we had this previous drop, here for whatever reason, 3-4%. I mean, that's just another day in the life of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, we do have some bizarreness going on over in Japan. We had like a 10% down day, and then a 8% up day or something, and then we had China with massive quantitative easing, and their stock market going up 8% a day, putting everyone on margin squeezing, and they had a bailout to bail out the economy, and then they'll need another bailout to bail out all the people who got short squeezed.
Yeah. I think I shared an article with you how nobody could cover their margin calls. The system was broken. It was like chaos in China for trading. It was absolute mental. So, hey, let's just say that things cool off in the Middle East, or they just kind of don't really get any worse. I mean, if this is the worst it's got, this is it.
Yeah.
Then,
my position on this is that the entire war is choreographed, and I don't say that glibly.
You say that every time.
Yeah, it is, because Iran cannot afford to poke the dragon of the United States by destroying its proxy in the Middle East. That would never do, and the US would respond with full force and aggression. And Israel, as it has shown, would not stand by that happen easily. But the Iranian leadership cannot show to its population that it's weak, because Iran is a broken, fractured country, and it holds itself together with an internal police force, and the people would rebel if they could. And I'm not saying that from a US propaganda point of view. That just is the way Iran is, right? So they've got to say, well, we've been able to respond in force, and they've sent all these missiles over to Israel and killed 4 people. But then, and of course, then they accentuate the dollar damage, or the money damage, rather than the people damage. And
you have to accentuate something.
And when you look at the footage of those rockets going off, the explosives weren't very big. It's a show, right? It's a you do this, we'll do this back. Israel are now going to respond. They're going to phone up Iran and ask them which airbase they can hit, which will be evacuated in half. And they'll do it, and then everyone will be happy that egos are soothed, right?
And you say this every time something breaks out there, and I mean, I can't say that. Oh yes, I completely agree. It seems reasonable. I don't know. I would like to know. I would really like to know if it's that sort of cozy and that choreographed just for pretense. But oil was up pretty good. Everyone who follows me knows I've been long oil against the crowd, and I was waiting for a short squeeze. And we did have a nice day up, and we're still up. We're about 0.75% up right now. So maybe, I'm kind of hoping that, they threaten to shut down the strait, or there's some, tanker things going on, and we can pop up to $80 a barrel or something. I'll be really, really happy.
Your trading view just disconnected.
Disconnected. It does that. It does that from time to time. I got so many, because I've got it on different PCs and things. Yeah. The other thing I'll mention too here is that we had outflows for 2 days in a row.
Oh wow! Look at that. We've actually had an IBIT outflow. That's the first one ever, right?
Oh, IBIT. Yeah, you're right. 225.
So I think BlackRock have dropped the ball there, because I'm convinced that BlackRock buy every share that someone else sells of IBIT on their own account. So I think we've seen maybe 2 withdrawals before from IBIT. But I think that happens when they get their numbers wrong.
I think I have to update this.
No, what's this? This is a 24-hour. No, that's got to be old.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's well old. Yeah.
I'm like 64. What are you? You're crazy. Okay, that's looking a little better there. All right, so a little bit down here, 59.5 and 61.5. So
it'd be interesting to see if they try and take out that stuff below 60. That could scare people, right? If it goes below 60.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a punch through and back up. I wouldn't be surprised. It seems like people are giving the market a little bit of room here. Now, tomorrow is expiry day. Are a lot of these, tomorrow based? I don't know.
We saw Bitcoin sell off $1,000 after deribit expiry today.
We've got unemployment claims in the U.S. Coming out. And then tomorrow we've got some more unemployment, non-farm, and a little bit of FOMC, but Williams, whoever the hell that is. So it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Let me go back here.
Have you got the Bitcoin monthly return page?
Monthly return. What do you mean?
That website, Bitcoin monthly return, where you've got the grid of month per versus year and whether it was up or down.
No, I don't. No.
Okay, I'll share that later in a sec.
Okay. One thing I will share is our poll, because it is October, and I just published it. So, what do you guys think? Is Bitcoin going to rip this month? Oof. Number 1, guaranteed. Number 2 is no, I'll remain like Richard and be miserable for yet another month.
Oh, I see. That's the only two.
She's just got 2 options. I don't want to hear any fluff. No gray. Yes or no.
Is it going to rip? To define rip?
I don't know. More than 10, 20%. I don't know. Rip. It's a feeling, Richard. It's not a number. It's a feeling.
It's not going to rip.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't know. I got a feeling.
Yeah.
I got a feeling. It might take it might be the end of the month, but I got a feeling.
I do think it'll rally at the end of the month.
No.
But 20% up? No. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it does, wow, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, yeah, I'll leave this poll up until the end of the show, and then I'll publish the results. Yep. And as a quick reminder, if you check in the chat, you can always use a link there to save 10% on deribit trading fees, and you might need that. You might need that link pretty soon if we get that rip.
20% is how much? So 20% is 1/5 of 60, right? Which is 12,000. So you reckon it's going to get to 72,000? I might do. Why not?
That's such a perfect trade because it goes right up to all-time highs.
Yeah, it might do.
Oh, now you're being convinced slowly.
No, but I give that 10% chance.
Okay. All right. We'll see. I've got some long gamma accounts going on, so we'll see what happens. Maybe those will pay me off. All right. So Uptober. What are we going to talk about for Uptober? You had some stats on. I don't know if I still have those.
Well, I've got this page I use called bitcoinmonthlyreturn.com. I can share it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sure the guys have seen this before.
Bitcoin, I think you shared it before, haven't you?
Yeah,
sounds familiar.
This is quite kind of a useful page because it's good for morale boost or to beat yourself up when you look at the monthly returns and you're on the wrong side of them, and also you've got the Bitcoin price level and the fear and greed gauge, which is all interesting. And what I thought was interesting, just last week we were getting into greed on the fear and greed gauge. And then with the breakout of the war, that immediately went to fear, which prompted all kinds of twittering in the Twitter sphere, or the X sphere is now, about how Bitcoin cannot be a store of value if it behaves like a risk asset whenever a war breaks out. But of course, it didn't in the start of the real war, the Ukrainian war. Bitcoin actually rallied from there, I think, as people were using it to move money out of a war zone. But I think the whole Israel thing, and also Wall Street are involved now, and so Wall Street see Bitcoin as a risk asset, no question, right? And so they're always going to add a bit of noise on top. But yeah, so we're in Uptober, so statistically they tell us that we go up in October, but they don't tell us on what days in October that we go up.
How could they know that?
And if we don't go up, then there's a further possibility of declines afterwards. If you think this chart is, a predictor of the future, I'm not entirely sure it is, but. But so that's the one thing. What I find more useful, and that I trade systematically, and I've got a bunch of hedge fund clients and so on. So I use this tool as my sort of predictor, which is I'm looking at on the right hand side a numeric display of the volatility surface. I don't have anywhere near enough time to go into how I use this, but that gives me a mental picture of the vol surface. If you look at the deribit vol surface graphic, the 3D graph, these numbers are giving me that same picture in my head. That's just practice.
So why not just use the actual graphic one?
because I can look at this, I can reason about this and read numbers off and interpolate mentally quicker than I can do it off the chart.
Right.
And on the left-hand side is the historical price of Bitcoin. That's the blue, and then the historical at-the-money volatility for 1 week, 2 weeks, and 1 month, which are metrics that are particularly interesting to me. And what's interesting here is that we had volatility dropping while the market was rising. That's kind of unusual. Normally, increasing volatility correlates with rising markets, which kind of told me that this was a bit of a relief rally. We had a rally from the 7th of September through to the 28th, right?
I see the back end of September. Yes.
So that the fact that vols were dropping while the market was rallying was telling me that this is not actually going to go anywhere. Well, that was the kind of hint. And now we've got vols rising steadily over the past few days. Now, I don't know if I look across on this chart here and I see the negative risk reversals. This is the 10 delta risk reversals. This is the difference in vol between the 10 delta calls and the 10 delta puts. So the market is somewhat concerned about the downside, but not actually any more than it normally is. Last week, this 10RR number was like -9 or -10%, where people were massively buying puts and maybe even selling calls. Now that fear is starting to dissipate. And until we had the $1,000 sell-off this morning, the 1 month 10 delta risk reversal was positive. So it kind of started to feel as if positive sentiment was coming back into the market. So I'm seeing this as a tentative weak signal that the market is getting optimistic about October, but not massively so. For it to be massively optimistic, I'd want to see these 1 week volatilities moving towards the 1 month. I'd want to see rising spot, and I'd want to see higher funding rates than I'm seeing. So all of these signals are telling me that people are somewhat optimistic, but they're not convinced yet. That's kind of how I see it.
And we had talked in the past. We always run out of time because we're so busy with jobs. Of tying in some type of a trading tool to a lot of these signals we see through the data that's coming through Immersive Finance, and we really need to do that. Like if we decide to take some holidays at Christmas, we should sit down for 2 days and say, okay, let's program this and then actually start with it and see
build a bot based on it. It's kind of like I imagine people are thinking I'm like Neo at watching the Matrix, or who was the guy who betrayed them all? He sat there and watched all the.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, the guy, the bald guy with the moustache who took the stake.
Yeah.
So you're kind of looking at this kind of voodoo, and then you're picking out the information out of it, and it's a bit of a dark art. But I get the thing is I sit and look at this all day long in my day job, so you kind of get a feel for it. But it would be quite good to prove it mathematically.
Cool. Again, Bitcoin is not really providing us with a lot of drama to talk about right now on this show, and it seems like we're just kind of in this. Well, we were in a steady uptrend, so last week was a bit different. We're still waiting though, and we're still in this. We're right smack in the middle of the range. There's nothing to panic about. There's nothing to. It just requires more patience. We just got to wait and see what happens.
In my I'm very much an amateur at chart reading. By the way, I'm much more about vol than I am about the actual spot movements. That you're the spot guy, right? But it seems to me that if we stop going down here and we start coming back up again, then that's kind of a higher low, isn't it? And kind of good for sentiment, right?
Yeah. I mean, different. I mean, it's all subjective, so subjective sometimes with charts and with trading. And, if I want to look at the actual chart I'm looking at, we're sort of in between two support and resistance levels.
Let me undo my screen share, and you can share yours if you want.
Yeah. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we've got this red area here, which was an area that we'd ripped up to and bounce, kind of got stuck up there, came off of it. And we've got this blue area, which provide the same. But let's not forget, we did spend some time in the middle of this channel from time to time farting around. That's exactly what we're doing. So I don't expect it to stay here. But you could say, duh, Shane, well, the price is going to stay anywhere. Well, that's true. But it's either going to go down to here or it's going to go back up to here. That's all there is to it. And yes, you could say, duh, well, of course, it's going up here. It's going to have to pass through there. Or, okay. But what I'm trying to say is if it decides to drop, I'd expect it to get sticky here, somewhere around this level. Just like if it goes up, I'd expect it here. Now, yesterday we did have a quick little pop up to 62. I think I noticed in the corner of my eye it was 62, and then 20 minutes later I looked at my phone again. It was like 60. It's like, okay, all right, fair enough. We're just kind of hanging out here.
That little wick cost my systematic books about 0.1% of their value.
Do you know what that was about? Was there any particular news that came out?
I couldn't get to the bottom of it. I mean, maybe people just thought, right, we haven't dropped. It's time to rip and start buying, and then suddenly something kicked off in the Middle East, probably. Didn't Japan do something stupid with their interest rates?
Well, I sent you an article this morning that the yen trade is back on. The carry trade is back. The yen just got pounded overnight.
Yeah, those guys. I think the central bankers in Japan have caved, haven't they? Completely.
I don't even know what to say. I'm not a specific currency guy, but geez, it's chaos. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people have been really getting got beat up one way and then got beat up the other way.
If you're in a carry trade or a Japanese stock trader, you're probably feeling fatigued right now.
Yeah, so the Chinese got it last week with this new stimulus package that, well, if you were long, it would have been great, but if you got caught short, you would have been really struggling. And then the Japanese this morning. Hey, we're getting near the end here. Let's see if they've got some questions coming in. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with Uptober?
No. I think there is. I mean, we can give all our thoughts and predictions, and please, for goodness sake, everyone, don't go getting long on the basis of what I've just said, because I'm wrong as often as I'm right. and like I said, for me, I'm seeing a weak signal here. It's a weak signal, not a strong signal. So but
short term, like these signals you're talking about are short term signals.
It's
typically
the rising vols without the market selling off are encouraging. The rising vols without the market rallying with them make it a very weak signal. If I'm seeing rising vols and rallying markets, then I'm getting bullish.
Maybe we need to do like a feature length movie called Vols Rising. It sounds dramatic.
It's the kind of thing you might enjoy watching. I think our viewers would likely enjoy it.
Or like Raising Cain, raising vols. All right. What do we got here? Jap says, you think it's going to go sideways till the end of the year? You know what? I think there's probably a few people in the same camp as you. I don't think it's going to go sideways to the end of the year. I think, certainly by November, December, we're going to see some big moves, I suspect, up.
Do you know what? Now you just put this in mind. So we've now got 60% of people saying it's going to go sideways. We've got the fear and greed monitor saying fear. And if that's indicative of the wider public sentiment, then that means it's going to go up because
because they have to hose retail.
The market always tries to kill retail.
So Vladimir said rip is a drop. No, rip is up. The market's going to rip. Sorry, trader term.
A question from Vladimir. How do you get access to it?
What?
Okay. No, a question from Vladimir says, how do I get access to immersivefinance.com? How much does it cost? I can't remember exactly. I think we pay more than a few thousand a month for it in my hedge fund operation. But you can by all means reach out to them. They tend to cater more for corporates than for private investors, but I'm sure if you waved enough money at them, they would talk to you.
Do you know if they have a package more for retail, maybe a scaled down version or less bells and whistles or something?
No, I've talked to them about it, and they said, look, Yeah, we'd love to if we had unlimited resources, but to be honest, it's difficult to make money because there'd be so much support needed and so much infrastructure required to handle retail. And then what do you do about liabilities and how much of this is perceived as being indecent to trade? Kind of much easier to keep it institutions only. I think the only thing that engaging with retail does for you is it raises your stock valuation because your number of users is higher. It doesn't actually make you any money, right?
All right, fair enough. Question from Ivan. I think the Discord link on Rogue Trader's site is expired. Can you check? Can't get in. Okay. I will have to send a message off to someone who's smarter than me with those types of things.
Yeah, the Discord link.
That would be Olga.
On the Rogue Trader website. Okay, done.
All right, there you go. Thank you, Ivan. It's not something we'd ever check, so unless you let us know, it'd stay like that forever. I don't know.
That could explain why we feel that nobody likes us.
That or giving our strong opinions on things are like, you guys suck. I don't know.
If I'm making
people water it down, I'm going to tell you what I think.
Because at least if people get angry at the screen when we're speaking, that's good. There's a reaction. They're hearing it. Right?
That's right. So join us, and we're going to poke you until you crack. Yeah. No, I don't know. Too many people want to cater to this. Screw it. I'm just going to tell you what I think. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. I fully accept it.
Yeah. And you have to make allowances for the fact that we're a pair of old dinosaurs, and we don't know how to do new age thinking.
No, that's true. And I like people to disagree and speak their mind. I think it's good. I think it's healthy, and it makes me think. And sometimes I'll change my mind based on somebody else's passions or opinions. So, all right. So as I'm watching some of these broader markets here, I think that overall, I'm going to say that things held up pretty good. Yep, Bitcoin did go down about 5% or so when this hostilities broke out. But so far, it's just sure, it could go down some more. It could go down another 10% for all I know. Maybe things will escalate and get worse. I don't know. But I think the broader markets are actually kind of doing okay. I didn't look at the S&P today, though.
Futures are kind of flat. They were down earlier, but.
Yeah, I mean, we're still not far off all-time highs. Let's be honest.
The market just doesn't know whether to think, okay, stimulus, buy stock, or okay, overstimulus, the dollar's going to become a banana currency. I think, and I don't know the answer to this. You would assume that the dollar by now should be worth nothing, but
here's the daily chart, right, on the S&P. I mean.
Yeah, but funny enough, I was speaking to the founder of a popular meme coin only yesterday, and it occurred to me that these meme coins become currency in the same way that dollars do. So the actual project wasn't Dogecoin, but I'll mention Dogecoin. Dogecoin itself is actually a currency backed by meme worthiness and goodwill. But it is nonetheless a currency, right? And it's a currency because people have it and use it and think about it and own it and like owning it. And I think dollars have become that. I think dollars have become about as valuable as meme coins. But it just so happens that at the moment they're kind of quite popular.
Vladimir says if the US dollar becomes a banana currency, then all the rest of the currencies also.
Well. For a while, yes, and then the ones that in the end, my mantra: gold is the only money. Everything else is just derivatives.
Yeah. All right. Well, here, let me close off the poll to end the day. End the poll. So, Bitcoin going to rip for this month or what? 33% say guaranteed. Interesting, because if we would have taken this poll in June, July, even August, they probably would have said. I would have expected a lot more to say yes.
If you, there's one very important thing I'll say because it's really important everyone hears it. The power of mean reversion is the most powerful force in the universe. It's mathematically true. So if you ask people when markets are up whether they feel bullish or bearish, they'll say bullish, and they're wrong. And if you ask them whether they feel bearish when markets are down, they'll say yes, and they're wrong. Markets will always mean revert.
This is my entire trading strategy. If you follow me on my FX trades, I'll just wait for stupid things to happen and then wait for the mean reversion. If I have to hedge that risk off, if I have dollar cost average, I don't care. That's what I'll do.
And not just markets, everything mean reverts.
Yes.
The whole universe tends toward mediocrity. Kill yourself now.
I was going to make some clever, smart-ass comments about expanding galaxies and whatnot, but we'll never be around to prove that out. So,
the universe is expanding towards mediocrity. In a few hundreds of billions of years' time, you won't be able to see any stars because they'll be beyond the edge of the observable universe.
So
I've
recently read some articles which strongly disputes the expanding universe theory.
I'm happy to argue with them.
When we get shift. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about that. Yeah, we'll all be golden rays of light by then, anyway. So,
yeah, some of us are golden rays of light. I think our viewers in particular.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for being a golden ray of light. Okay. Hey, we're over time. Any last questions? Quick, throw them in now. Otherwise, we're going to take off and get back to our day jobs of screaming at the computer, smashing keyboards.
Go up.
And, and colorful language. Colorful language. And in fact, that was, my time when I was a pro trader for prop shops. That was like the most entertaining part of the job, was listening to other people come up with these incredible combinations of swear words. It was very entertaining. Yeah. All right, we're gonna sign off here. Hey, everyone, join us next week. We do have some interesting things to talk about, and I'll probably try and bring a few graphs along and a few things. We're not just talking out of our backside as we usually do. So, until then, we'll see you next week.